I have been asked to talk about maintenance and going into it, how to do it, how to deal with getting on with the next part of your life. If you've lost a lot of weight or even a little weight, then you can definitely appreciate this topic. It is common knowledge, or so it is thought rather, that maintenance is the hardest part. It's actually not, though. And it's not because you already have the skills that you need to succeed if you've lost any amount of significant weight. Obviously, if you've lost very little, if you've just started losing weight, then if you've only lost 10, 12, 20 pounds, that's not enough maybe to appreciate the full dynamic of what I'm discussing, but it's nonetheless still true. You should be able to appreciate it. So here's the thing about maintenance. Maintenance is like running water coming out of a faucet. It is just, if you didn't know any better and you saw it for the first time, you might think that the water could be grabbed, but of course it's not. It's just a straight chute of motion. It's just water moving. It may look solid, but it's not. The same thing with maintenance. Maintenance is just the series of the struggles you have had put into play. So go with me here for a minute. Let's assume that you've lost 80 pounds and you understand what it's like to be hungry, you understand what it's like to fast, you understand what it's like to get rid of all the sugar and be carb conscious, you understand what it is about to be around family and have them bring food around when you don't want to eat, and yet you refuse to eat and you stay on your fasting path. You understand what it's like to go out to a restaurant and have to sit there while everybody eats. You understand what it's like to take a splurge day and then to take maybe two when you realize you should have just stayed with one. You learned from your mistakes. You went back over and over, and you started to acquire wisdom. And so as the pounds melted away, you got smarter. You became a better version of you, not just because you felt better, not just because you were stronger and healthier, but because you learned something. Well, maintenance is just that put in practice, because once you understand how you lose, once you understand how to control yourself, you're going to do the same thing going forward. You're going to start experimenting. Now, what are the two biggest fears with maintenance? Here's why maintenance is so hard and why people get so overwhelmed by maintenance. It's because, number one, you're afraid of gaining the weight back. That's the first thing, and that's the big thing. Number two is not having a mission. Let me explain each one. First of all, the fear of gaining the weight back. This is as natural as doing anything for the first time, riding the bike and falling and understanding, or asking somebody out and they turn you down. It's a natural reflex to be afraid. But if you go through life that way, then you'll be so crippled that you'll never be able to take any chances. Maintenance, you've already done it. If you've already, like I started to say, if you've already acquired the skills to lose and you have lost weight successfully, you have conquered maintenance because you're just reapplying it. Now let me stop right here and mention something, because there's this false notion that people spread over the internet, and they say that if you lose weight through any form of calorie restriction at all, one time you can't do it again. And this ends up being one of the things that people repeat. They say, well, maybe you lose weight the first time, but you can't lose weight again. You totally can lose weight again. It's a completely stupid idea. So you have to know that. You already have the skills going forward to know that you're not going to gain your weight back, because you know how to lose your weight. You know that taking 2 days of the week fasting will ensure that you don't gain your weight, even if you eat your weight back, even if you eat rather carelessly the other days. If you fast 3 days out of your week and just eat how you want the other 4, you're going to end up losing again, and so on and so on. You can parse up your days and parse out your time so that you have a natural flow of control. And it's something that I can't tell you how to develop any more than I can tell you how to learn how to drive a 5-speed standard transmission. You just have to experience it and learn what it's like to let the clutch out and whatnot, which many of you don't know how to do because you're too young, but it's okay. So that's the first thing. The first thing is the fear of gaining the weight back. You're not going to gain the weight back because you have fluidity, you have motion, you have rhythm, you've conquered that. You're not going to forget how, you know how to do it. But then there's the second thing of not knowing yourself and not being able to, being at odds with yourself, essentially. So the issue is not having a mission anymore. This is a problem that I faced when I left my maintenance behind. when I left my weight loss journey behind. I came out and for the first time, everybody was saying, this was August of 2014, for those of you who may need a refresher on the timeline. I had been maintaining weight successfully all this time. I was 185 pounds. I lost a little bit more. My mother, my father, my aunt, my brother, a few others said, you're too thin, man. You're looking gaunt. You need to put on a little bit more weight. So I decided that they were right after much reflection. But then that made me deal with another question. What am I going to do now that the weight loss journey is over? The last year was before that was driven with the knowledge that I'm going to kick my weight, kick it face down. It's never going to have a life again. I'm going to kill it. And I did. I lost 174 pounds. But what then? When you do it, what then? I'd been maintaining. I had stopped losing, and I had been maintaining for that short period of time. But what was going to happen then? So I had to change my mission. I had to have basically another mission. And that's when I started to experiment. I started to learn. I started to acquire the knowledge to say, it's okay if I'm just like another guy or gal. If I'm going out there and just eating and enjoying myself, I already know my boundaries. It's that fear coupled with not having a mission that is scary. Because when you've done something for so long, you want to keep doing that. And that's the other thing that is so scary when you go into maintenance. But you have to conquer that. You have to understand what it's like to be in the driver's seat. The same way when you're a child, you get driven around, and when you become an adult, you get your permit, you get your driver's license, and then pretty soon you have your own kids and your own family, and you're the one that's being counted on them. That's a necessary step of life. So don't be afraid of maintenance, and understand this, in conclusion, it comes naturally with the struggles of weight loss. Maintenance comes naturally with the struggles of weight loss. It always does. It doesn't matter why you overeat or the struggles you've had. Your big struggles come, that they give you something more than you had. Anytime you struggle, anytime you learn the limits, you test the fabric of your ability, you come away with knowledge and with wisdom. And that is what allows you to learn more. So in terms of maintenance is just experimentation. I've said it before, and I'll say it again right here. Maintenance is just experimentation. But in order to experiment, you have to be open. You have to be open, and you have to be flexible, and you have to realize that even if you fail, you won't keep failing because you already know how to stop yourself. Sometimes it's intimidating because feast and famine are opposites, and we question whether we're our resolve, and we say, will I have enough to stop feasting and go back into famine when I need to? That was one of the hardest things to realize, is you're going between polar opposites. But that dance is the very fabric of humanity, positive and negative, night and day. It's the same dynamic of everything else in the world. So don't be afraid of it. Dig it, love it, jump right into it. And for those of you who are losing, and of course I'm getting emails and I'm looking at the comments all the time, it's incredible the amount of pounds that people are dropping. They're doing excellent. Don't be afraid, folks. Don't be afraid, because those who are afraid, who are limited, they're limiting not just what they can do, they're limiting themselves. And that's the saddest part. Get out there and experiment and love every minute of the struggle.